the questions I've been getting a ton loads over the last couple of weeks is, am I buying Kadena and XRP? So in this video, we're going to go through those two projects. I'm going to look at the charts. I'm going to tell you my thoughts here in this current moment. We're just going to look at Bitcoin and the key levels because we've got a critical week coming up with Fed Chairman Jerome Powell speaking again, yes, plus many other Fed officials and critical macroeconomic data. Smash up the likes. Don't forget to subscribe, as always, here for you guys on a Sunday to give you an update as we head towards a critical weekly candle close here on Bitcoin. As you can see, I'm sitting here on the weekly chart and I'm looking at the one bit of hopium we still have left here that could get us out of this mess, this pickle which we're in. And the reality is, before I share this pattern with you, I continue to remain that the bears are in control here. Any price targets we should be setting will be to the downside, which I'll be sharing with you. But we also still have to look at what is the way that we can recover, because at some point we will want to recover and the markets will decide to recover. And so we always have to look for these bottom forming formations, okay? So we need to look for these. And what you can see currently occurring is this W pattern, which we're monitoring. Now, it looked pretty exciting when we had these two positive weeks, but then we've got thrown back down. We've had two negative weeks now. But if you look at the structure of the W pattern, it still remains. And the double bottom will remain until we lose the low of this weekly candle on June the 13th, the week commencing there. Because that low on that candle finished at 17,600. That's the local low. Until we lose that low, we technically still have this double bottom pattern, right? So we can go touch that 17,600 level again. And if we bounce from it, we can work our way to the neckline at 24.5 and still have this huge W pattern. So we can monitor that, and that's a positive thing right now, is we are holding that structure. Until we lose 17,600, we still have that structure. And it's good to see that Bitcoin today and over this weekend has managed to do a good job of holding around 19,000. Now, part of the reason for that is it's lacking direction right now, right? The markets are closed, therefore Bitcoin on the weekend can have this moment of kind of just chilling out because it's not got the NASDAQ bleeding, and therefore it follows the NASDAQ to bleed. Well, so we'll have to look at how that opens up tomorrow when markets open up to see what direction do we head in. But we have to understand we're still in a bearish situation here on Bitcoin, and we have to continue to monitor that with risks to the downside. We've got to give the bias to the downside here. As you can see, we're holding, if I just come out slightly here, we are holding on the bottom of this broadening wedge, and the risk here is that we start dropping to the downside. If we lose this level here at 18,700 at the bottom of the channel here, you can see how many times this has held up as support. We will be heading back down to test that 17,600 level and potentially much lower as well. So it's really important. This is a last straw here for Bitcoin. So if the markets want to have another bad week next week, it's going to be quite painful for Bitcoin. You can see that extreme fear sitting at 24. So the markets are still very, very fearful. We're still in extreme fear, and we've been here for a while. Okay, if I put this onto the max chart here, and it just gets zoomed out a little bit, you can see here how long we've kind of been at these suppressed prices. I mean, obviously we've been much worse earlier in the year. We had our run up with Bitcoin running up to 25,000. That took some of that fear away, but we're still quite suppressed. Now, one thing that's important to remember with Fear and Greed Index is when you spend a lot of time at a certain level, like we've spent a lot of time at 19,000, the level of fear in the market starts to reduce. People start to get used to this new number because you've been holding it for a while. So you need an even lower price point to put that same fear in the market. And that's how you capitulate. Because what's happening is you're getting stronger and stronger hands in the market. The people who were going to panicked in this period here where Fear and Greed Index was at 9, 10, 11, right? They've done their panic selling. So now you've got a bunch of people who have come in with a lower cost base. Maybe they bought Bitcoin at 20, 21, 22. Therefore, 19 doesn't worry them. But 14 may, 15,000 Bitcoin may worry them. And therefore, that leads to that last bit of capitulation, which we need to see here in this market. So that brings me on to the fact of what are my thoughts around Kadena and XRP, because that's the reason you've clicked this video. And what I wanted to talk about is, let's talk about XRP first. And there's a reason I don't make too much content about XRP. And the reason is, at the moment, we've got to understand that this is a very, very binary situation right now with XRP. As you guys know, I like to invest in projects where I can see there's a huge fundamental reason to invest in it. The macros are all aligned, and it's very clear why you're allocating part of your portfolio to that project. Now, the problem with XRP, for as great as a fundamental project it could be, for as great as the team could be, and the potential is huge, I just don't feel comfortable with everything sitting on a binary outcome. Now, if I was in XRP before this had all happened, then it makes sense that you're part of this XRP army, that you want it to recover, you continue to support them through the SEC case, and you believe in the project. That's one thing. But to be adding it in this type of environment, sheerly because of the movement, it's a pure binary outcome play. Either they win the SEC battle and things go crazy, and rightfully so. I really do hope that happens, because that's going to set a great precedent for the SEC to back off great projects. So we're all rooting for XRP. Nobody's not rooting for XRP. But for me to be playing this right now, you need to understand right now it is a binary outcome based on SEC case. So in other words, you can treat this similar to how other events are in terms of hard forks or a Coinbase listing. It's based on a binary outcome where things go well or things go badly. That's not the same as investing in other projects where you're looking at the fundamentals and you're looking at the future. Now, once this SEC case is cleared, then I will evaluate it on its own merits, and I would want to be looking at XRP as a potential long-term hold. Once I can get rid of that cloud hanging over the head, I'm happy to miss this pump, right? I want all you guys who deserve it, who have been holding this, the XRP army who've been loyal and holding this project for a very long time, you guys deserve this pump. You deserve this back to where it's been to, because you held it through the depths. But that's just not a play that I'm personally holding, okay? So that's really important. I just wanted to make sure I've clarified my position on XRP. It's not something I'm spending loads of time understanding right now to dive into the fundamentals, to have huge conviction in it like I'm doing for other projects, just because of this cloud. What if I'm wasting my time doing all that research and this cloud never clears? So I'd much rather this cloud clear. Yes, the price can pump. I can miss that. No problem. I don't deserve that pump anyway. I can't catch every pump on every single project. That's impossible. But then I can judge it on its own merits. Once the SEC cloud is gone, let me look at the project. Let me look at the fundamentals. Let's see what's changed over the last 3-4 years during all this crisis. How's their cash position looking? How's the situation looking with the team? Do they have any new upgrades and features and things they're working on? And then we can judge it on its own merits right there. So that's my position on XRP. Let me know your thoughts if you guys are holding it. If you are holding it, let us know the reasons why, right? Is it because you've been XRP army since day one, which I completely understand? Is it something that you're new into and you want to ride the momentum and you're looking to play a bit of a roulette game with the SEC? That's also okay, as long as you know, this is the game plan I'm after and this is the reason. So let me know in the comments, XRP army, what are your thoughts around why you're in the position. Now, the other project which has been I've been getting asked about left, right, center, as you guys know, is the Kadena. Kadena's got a great army as well. Let's just pull up the KDA chart. And let's start off with the KDA Bitcoin chart. So the first thing I want to share with you was this chart, and that is the Kadena versus Bitcoin chart. Now, what's interesting with Kadena's Bitcoin chart is it has been outperforming pretty nicely since May. It's a nice slow upward trend here on Kadena versus Bitcoin, which is showing some good relative strength here in the market. Now, if we look at its normal price chart versus US dollar, what I do want to spot here is you have indeed bottomed out. This is very interesting on Kadena. So obviously for those who have been following, Kadena went on a crazy run initially when it first launched, and then it kind of settled down obviously with the crypto winter. And you can see here around this level, the yellow line at $1.44, you are seeing a lot of support here, and it's pretty much sat here for a long time. I think it touched here initially in May, and it's pretty much been there. It's not just kept falling. And that shows us that the market has pretty much come to terms with saying, you know what, this is not going to suppress anymore. This is the floor for Kadena. And bar Bitcoin completely capitulating down to crazy levels, this is pretty much where you're at. This is where the project sits. Now, where do I sit in terms of Kadena? I think it's a very interesting option. Now, I've not gone crazy on Kadena, but it is something I've been looking into more and more and starting to think about nibbling into a small part of the layer 1 section of my portfolio. Now, why am I doing it? Well, the big catalyst for me is the fact that Ethereum is now proof of stake. Now, initially, if you look at my portfolio and you look at my layer 1 section of my portfolio, everything was proof of stake, right? If you look at all the different projects out there, mainly all the good layer 1 solutions out there are proof of stake. Now, then I had Ethereum, which was proof of work. But now after ETH 2.0, Ethereum is now proof of stake. So all my layer 1 solutions right now in my portfolio are proof of stake. That's not very well diversified, is it? At what point do I need some exposure to a layer 1 solution, which is energy efficient, proof of work? And why do I want proof of work? Because proof of stake is still, I know this is controversial and I have a lot of money in proof of stake platforms, but just hear my thinking and rationale. This is how detached I am from being emotional. Proof of stake still has some risks, right? How do we know that it's not, we don't have the same track record and history with proof of stake as we do with proof of work? What is the most secure network out there? Bitcoin, right? That is the one with the longest term safety score in terms of crypto. Then you've got Ethereum, which up to this point was all proof of work with levels of transactions and did really, really well. So all the future proof of stake platforms, the best examples we have are still below Bitcoin and Ethereum. So for me, I need to have some exposure to proof of work, layer one solutions, just in case something goes wrong with proof of stake. And I think that's where the narrative around Kadena can do really, really well. So definitely something I'm looking at. They've still got a ton of work to do. By no means are they the done project. They've got loads of work to do. They're low market cap. They need more adoption. They need more dApps being built on it. They need more biz dev. They've got a lot of stuff to do, but they have got the good fundamentals of being a good project and delivering in the next bull run. So definitely one for me to be watching in this portfolio. Again, let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on Kadena? Are you a big fan? Are you allocating rationally? What are your views on it, and why do you like Kadena? Let me know in the comments. Now, coming up to a big week this week, we've got Jerome Powell opening his mouth again on Wednesday. It's like he really does love the limelight, doesn't he, guys? Let's just scroll up here. And as you can see, on Wednesday, we will be having our best friend Jerome Powell speaking. And again, this will move the markets, whether we like it or not. We have Jerome Powell on Wednesday. Skipping on to Thursday, we then have our GDP Q2 figure, okay? So we're going to get a Q2 annualized figure for GDP. Again, we're going to take a look at that to see what happens here. Do we continue to do we get a revision to the upside, or is it going to be worse? And therefore, what does that mean in terms of the implications around us being in a recession? So again, something that can move markets. Skipping then on to the day after, which is Friday, and you've got a bunch of different things going on. You've got a few other Fed officials speaking. Throughout the week, by the way, they're scattered around a bunch of different Fed officials. I think on Friday, you've got Brainard, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, you've got Fed's Brainard, and you've got Fed's Bowman. I wish they would just be quiet. But more importantly, you've got PCE inflation coming out in the morning, and then you've got Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. Now, remember, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell uses PCE, and he will use Michigan Sentiment Survey when he decides his interest rates. And what we can see now is the next meeting is on November the 2nd. So we've got some time yet for that meeting, but you can see that the markets are pricing in 75 basis points. They think he's going to go again at 75 basis points. And again, now that we know terminal rate is 4.6, we've got plenty of hikes to go before we get to there. So that's something we're looking out for here in this market. So to wrap things up, sitting here on Bitcoin, holding this key level at 19,000, and we just need to ask ourselves, when are the bears going to go for their next push? I mean, if you look at where we're at right now, we've got extension from our daily EMA ribbon. We're quite far extended. Are we going to have a relief rally up to 20? Are we going to take some of the pressure off of the markets? Even if we do, guys, and this is where it gets a little bit scary, even if we do have a relief rally up to 20, even up to here, 22, right? If we see anything like this, right, we still need to understand that the bears are in control. You could be seeing something like that. So I don't want anybody to get excited and have green candle disease in this period. We've learned this here. We learned this in all our little relief rallies, guys. Please understand what's a relief rally and what is actually a reversal pattern where you're actually changing the trend here. Right now, we're not doing that, okay? Even if we get a bounce here, please understand that we still have lower highs. There's a high, there's a high, there's a low, there's a low. What we don't want to do is get caught up in this move to the downside. So continuing to hold bearish bias here on Bitcoin. We've got an important weekly close coming up. We'll monitor that over the next 12 hours or so. But again, let's see where markets open up tomorrow, and let's see what kind of a week we have coming up. A lot of economic factors which could sway markets, keep things volatile. Let me know your thoughts on XRP and Kadena in the comments. Are you loading up on those two, or are there some better projects which you think we should look at in the next video? Thanks for watching, guys. Go watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.